On August 6, 1945, Little Boy was detonated 600 meters above this location. The first atomic bomb used on humanity, with 16 kilotons of trinitrotoluene. This caused 70,000 deaths immediately or within days, reaching 140,000 by the end of 1945. But this city is not made to inspire pity. It is a completely rebuilt and very beautiful city. So today we're going to see a bit of the terrible side and a bit of the beautiful side that Hiroshima has. By the way, we're going to be exploring Hiroshima in about 36 hours, which is enough time to see the most interesting things this city has to offer. Now, the dome, at the time, people kind of chose to preserve it. Some wanted it demolished, seeing it as a painful reminder, while others disagreed. But for the most part, it was decided that the tragedy had to be remembered, that it has to be a witness to what happened in this city, that on several occasions, conservation techniques were used so that it wouldn't collapse, but without taking away from the fact that it is a ruin. Well, actually, the real ground zero of the hypocenter, the real hypocenter, is in view of the dome. About 100 meters away, which was right above this monument, they put up a sign saying that here, 600 meters above, is where the atomic bomb exploded. And today, there's a hospital there. I think this is the third time I've passed by here, and every time I've come by, they're always... I don't know if I think it's the same man who's a survivor of the bomb, and he always leaves pamphlets or posters with information about what it was like to be a survivor of the atomic bomb. But I always remember very well because he had a box on his bicycle that said "No nukes," a man very committed to the issue of denuclearization. Here in 1964, they put up a bell that represents peace. They placed it there so anyone can ring it anytime they want, as a request for peace and for global denuclearization. This is the monument that was put up in honor of Sadako Sasaki, who was a 2-year-old baby that survived the atomic bomb. Since she was 1.6 kilometers from where it happened, from where the hypocenter was, and she was able to survive without injuries. And she grew up healthy, normal, cheerful, everything. But at the age of 9, she was diagnosed with leukemia, which was called the atomic bomb disease, right? It was seen in people who had survived. They had nothing at first, but over time developed radiation-related symptoms. In Japanese culture, there's a popular saying that if you fold 1,000 paper cranes, your most sincere wishes will come true. So Sadako would grab any papers she could find, wrappers or even medicine papers and things like that, and she would make cranes with the wish to be cured. There are two versions of the story. One says that Sadako never managed to fold 1,000 paper cranes and that her classmates and friends made the rest. The other story says that she made several thousand, but in the end, Sadako passed away in the same year she was diagnosed with leukemia. So her classmates set out to raise funds to put up a monument in her honor, and with the help of the school, they managed to raise enough money to build this monument. There you can find the flame of peace. It is said that the flame will never go out until the world is free of nuclear weapons. They probably won't release it. Here, this monument is shaped like a shelter to protect the souls of the people who died in the bombing. It's a very popular spot because people toss a coin as an offering, and it has a view of the flame of peace and the dome in the background. Honestly, the view is quite beautiful. Hiroshima is a city where everything is pretty well concentrated, centered. I mean, from Hiroshima Station, about 2 kilometers basically to the west, to the left of the map, that's where the whole downtown area is, the area dedicated to the atomic bomb. Everything is nearby. On this side of the Peace Museum, there are several monuments, the Dome of the Ruins, and the area between the Peace Park and the train station. Let's say that near the park is where the downtown area is, and that's where all the shopping centers are, and the nightlife area as well. Everything is pretty close. Therefore, you don't need much time to get around Hiroshima, at least to see the most important and popular places. We're at the Peace Museum, which also has a very cheap entrance fee. Adults pay just over $1, students under $1, and elementary students enter free. I get a bit of goosebumps when I see such a large image of what Hiroshima was like before the bomb. I mean, where the Peace Park is now, that's where the dome is, and where the Peace Park is, it used to be all houses. The image is very powerful, I don't know. Well, here's a map of what would be the entire area affected by the hypocenter. More or less, the most affected area was around 5 or 3 kilometers. And mainly it was the center of Hiroshima, which is where the islets are, and that's the most affected area of all. Honestly, this image is very powerful, the model that shows you how after the explosion, basically almost nothing was left. Anyone with a little empathy for human beings comes to a museum like this, and honestly, it leaves you breathless. Honestly, I constantly felt very suffocated in this museum. But anyway, let's cut the bitterness a little, because this city also has a lot of beauty to offer. Another thing that characterizes the city of Hiroshima is its streetcars. You can find super modern, brand new streetcars and also really old streetcars from back in the day. In fact, some streetcars from that time have even been preserved and restored. From that time, the base had survived and then they were gradually rebuilt with wood. At that time, when it's the anniversary of the atomic bomb, they take it out and run it, kind of like an exhibition, right? In fact, I remembered that the bomb fell on August 6, 1945 by the 9th. 3 days later, they managed to get the streetcar running again, and when the service resumed, most of the train staff had died or were seriously injured. So it worked thanks to schoolgirls who volunteered, right? From technical schools, who could more or less manage to make it work because the city had just been destroyed. But even so, after a short time, seeing that the streetcar could work gave that small drop of hope of being able to say that the city could move forward. Right? The truth is, the story of the girls who managed to get the streetcar moving is really powerful. And what's here? It's a ramen event. Oh, I really feel like eating some ramen. No. We have a really good place reserved to eat. You guys know that on the channel? I usually always tell you that there's no need to go to specific places to eat, that it doesn't have to be anything special. But today there is a very specific place that I do recommend, if possible, to go, make a reservation, and make sure to try the food from that place. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, so let's continue. The core area of the bomb, at the moment it detonated, reached 4,000 degrees in temperature. Considering that the surface of the sun reaches 5,500 degrees in temperature, in other words, the heat was close to being near the sun, which caused every wooden structure, like the Hiroshima castle, to disappear completely. That was clearly a reconstruction they did. Speaking of reconstructions, Hiroshima had a major city project. A reconstruction project was established for the city of Hiroshima as a city of peace. Since it was a national project, they aim to do it right, not leaving it as a city that evokes pity or victimization, but to create a modern city, but with its central designated area to remember everything from the explosion. In 1949, the Hiroshima Peace City Construction Law was approved. One wonders how, after an atomic bomb and all the radiation, rebuilding is possible. Well, the answer is as follows. Hiroshima was a rapid chain fission, meaning the radioactive material had a short half-life and there was only a kilogram of this material. When the bomb exploded in the air, radioactive particles were released. Chernobyl, by contrast, involved a slow chain fission at ground level, releasing long-lasting radiation from 180 tons of uranium. That made the difference between Hiroshima and Chernobyl. So basically, they realized that in the short term, the radiation was disappearing. There were still cases among people, but not in the city itself. Therefore, rebuilding was completely viable. And also, on the other hand, people didn't want to leave the city. This was the place where they were born. For those who survived or those who weren't there, they wanted to return home, so people wanted to rebuild the city. So with the will of the people plus the government's project, the need to establish a symbol of peace against nuclear war made the reconstruction of the city a top priority. By the way, we're now in a sanctuary. We're recording this in November, and it's the time of Shichigo-san, which is a Shinto celebration held for children who are 3, 5, and 7 years old. That's why in November you can see many shrines where they bring little kids, really little ones in kimonos. They're very cute. A quick and convenient way to reach Miyajima is by ferry, located 200 meters from the atomic bomb dome. It is a bit expensive though. It costs 2,400 yen, which is about $18 or so, but it gets there in 40 minutes. But still, the best thing is to come and book your ticket for whatever time you want. And that's it. Well, now we're on Miyajima Island, the famous island where the Great Torii is, and now we're heading there, getting here. The island is large, but the active area, look. Yes, there are 2 medals and I want both. Sorry, I have to interrupt, but I get excited because I collect these medals from a lot of different tourist places. I didn't know this existed. So here it is. 2 versions of the medal, one all gold and another gold with silver. Well, the thing is that there are plenty of places to eat around here and activities. But let's see. We once stayed overnight on the island, and honestly, at night after 8, it's really hard to find something to eat, so it's best to come early. Now on the island, these are very famous, the yamoji, which are these paddles that are used as spoons to serve rice. Well, this shape became famous here because a nun who belonged to one of the temples here wanted to give the paddle a special shape. To serve rice, the rice paddle was shaped like a biwa, which is the traditional musical instrument. They associated it with Ben Satan, who is the goddess of the arts, and the biwa has this exact shape. And well, serving rice with a paddle of this design was considered good fortune and all that. It's very famous from this island, which by the way isn't just in Nara, but also in Miyajima. There are also deer that roam freely in the streets, but here they don't sell food for the deer, and they're not massive. There aren't that many deer on the island. Here we are at one of Japan's most famous sites, the torii in the water. Here, for example, every day the tide rises and falls, but the schedule changes every day. So it's a matter of finding out or coming in the morning, and if you come in the afternoon, at some point you'll definitely be able to walk up to the torii or see it surrounded by water to take pictures of it while it's in the water. This torii was added in the 19th century, while the shrine was founded in the 6th century. To worship certain Shinto goddesses who brought good business, health, prosperity, all the good things there are in the world. But it became more popular around the 12th century, when they declared the place, the entire island, as a sacred space for these gods. And what they did with the torii was to place it in the middle of the water to represent that everything on the island is sacred. To the point that when a daimyo, a feudal person, someone important came to the island, when they came by boat, they absolutely had to get off the boat and walk through the torii and bow when passing through a torii, right? That's very interesting. Now there's also a cable car that goes up to the top of Miyajima Island, but there's a small problem. First, it gets really crowded. Also, the cable car ride only takes you halfway up the mountain. The rest is about an hour on foot. It's fine for young people, but less suitable for very young kids or the elderly. I don't recommend it, as the path can be very difficult. It's fine for young people. I also don't suggest doing it in summer. Also, I see many tours in Hiroshima and Miyajima. The island honestly has countless little temples and shops everywhere. If you just want to see the main things, 2 hours on the island is more than enough. But if you want to spend half a day or a whole day, you can walk for a long time and get lost on the island, as people also live there. So there's a part that's not touristy, where there are just houses and so on, and well, the reason we came here was to eat at this place. And it's still the same man. Oh wow, that's delicious, that's delicious. That's right, we go in at 5 and leave at 6:30, so each piece takes its time. Also, I love it because the owner, the gentleman, doesn't try to fool you. He just says, this is a delicious fish. He doesn't make up any stories. He doesn't try to make it fancy. The place isn't pretentious at all. I mean, it's just good. And with alcohol and everything, it cost us $100 each. I'm telling you, those prices in Tokyo are impossible. It's already super dark and it's only 6:30, but that's how it is in November. It's a bit chilly too, but look, at this hour everything is already super dead, but it doesn't matter. We have ferries until 9 or 10 at night, but still, at this hour the ferry still runs every 20 minutes, then we have an hour on the train. We need to discuss the reservation issue, for example. Look, I'm gonna leave my map of recommended tourist spots all over Japan in the video description. It will be the only restaurant on Miyajima Island. It's just a matter of looking at the map a little, look for it. Everything is really closed. There are just a few, well, let's see, there are places to eat, maybe about 5 places, but yes, most of them are really closed. I don't really recommend sleeping on the island. Maybe one night to have the experience of seeing the temple at night, which is a different view. Honestly, it's very nice. Or if not, just wait until it gets a little dark and enjoy the view. And that's it. Honestly, Hiroshima is something you can see pretty well in 2 nights, and I recommend coming to the island for a whole day. And the day you arrive and the day you leave are for exploring, let's say, the area, the peace area. At night, there are places I can recommend also for eating. Okonomiyaki, the main specialty of Hiroshima. Unlike the okonomiyaki from Osaka, for example, Hiroshima's version has noodles, and that makes me like it more. And the thing is, the place I most recommend to eat it is Okonomimura, which is a place with 3 floors, the 2nd, 3rd and 4th floors, several okonomiyaki spots in a row where they cook it at your table, small, authentic places with great flavor. A lot of people might say, but that's so touristy. No, it's something authentic that became popular among tourists. It became popular precisely because of its authenticity. Is it the best place for okonomiyaki in Hiroshima? I'm not sure, but honestly, okonomiyaki isn't that special either. It's noodles with vegetables and toppings, cooked on a griddle. It's not something you'd say, oh wow, because of the special recipe or anything like that. It's tasty, it's really good, seriously. You can choose the toppings, the extra proteins, all that with soba noodles. Well, soba noodles, but actually they're more like ramen or udon noodles. I like the one from Hiroshima much more than the one from Osaka. I really like that it has noodles, so much more. It adds more vibe, protein and everything. That's how I like them way more. Crazy. Each floor is pretty small. There are about 8 okonomiyaki food stalls per floor, and there are 3 floors. Here's the map, right? Here it is. There are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 food stalls. There has to be a spot available in one of them, but it's Friday and it's pretty crowded. We checked every floor, returned to the emptiest, and honestly, it was great. But just so you know, it starts from the 2nd floor. There's nothing on the ground floor. Where that sign is in the video description, there's the Google Maps link that I've been sharing for a while now. Of all the strategic tourist spots throughout Japan, this place has always been marked. And yes, the Suica card is also valid for traveling on the tram. The only thing is that you don't pay when you get on, you pay when you get off. And where the gentleman is. City residents use something like a QR code, but tourists don't need it. With a Suica card, you just pay when you get off. We're heading back to the hotel now, the one we chose. The area is close to what will be the red light district, near pedestrian streets and alleys full of activity. Hiroshima has a pretty strong nightlife, very well defined and big. Hey, I like it because it has its historical side, its normal tourist family side, with shops, clothing, whatever, anime stores like everywhere in Japan, and the bar area, izakayas. There are also a lot of more adult things, really a lot, honestly. For example, I didn't know about this side. Until I said this time I'm going to save, I'm going to book a hotel in this area that I want to explore, and honestly, there's a lot. Well, honestly, the neighborhood is super ultra active. I mean, I was just walking around. And there are establishments for adults. There are a lot of izakayas, places to eat. I've passed by 2 clubs. music venues, you could hear live music, but the number of places, the information about where to spend the night and all that kind of stuff, it's incredible. There are concept cafes with girls in cosplay for the bars. It's very, very lively for those who want to party. There's also a lot to do in this neighborhood, but what I notice is that everything is very concentrated and you can find everything you might be looking for in Tokyo. Everything summed up. Obviously, there won't be as much as in Tokyo, but what is here is very concentrated. My wife was very tired, so I suggested we eat something else, but she said she was already full. So I said, well, I started looking, and here I have, just a block away, an oyster bar. In Hiroshima, basically the most popular and well-known dishes of the area are okonomiyaki and oysters. And I don't want to miss out on trying the oysters. But it's something you see in this neighborhood. Stylish girls walking all along the street. In this building, oh yeah, second floor, ground floor, which side? I think it's here. Well, they screwed me over a little bit. I paid 6,400 yen, which is about 40 something dollars. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 oysters and a glass of Nihonshu sake. And I'm still hungry. Maybe I'll just get something at 7-Eleven, but it doesn't matter. I know we'll eat well tomorrow, unless it's too crowded. And in the end, I ate a ramen. Yeah, I already spent a lot on a couple of oysters, so the ramen cost me 1,100 yen, which was $8. And it fills you up a lot more. But yeah, now I'm full, and tomorrow we're going to eat something completely different from what I just had now. Ramen. Yeah, guys, there was a ramen festival. We've already checked out of the hotel. We left our suitcases in a locker at the bus terminal, since that's where the airport bus departs. It arrives in an hour. And well, it's right next to the bus terminal, next to the dome of the station. And there was a ramen festival, so we had to eat ramen. Sorry guys, I know there won't be a ramen festival when you visit, but it's better than yesterday. Here, you use coupons. Since we bought 3, we'll share 3 ramen. Ramen number 2. This is a ramen from Kyoto. Oh, it's really good. Ramen number 3. And now it's already noon because we arrived before 11 and now it's starting to get crowded. The good thing is the line moves quickly here. They keep serving non-stop, which is great. This is a miso ramen from Sapporo, Hokkaido. Fourth and last ramen. With this one we've had enough. The last was from Osaka. This is from Kyoto. Or was it Tokyo, Hokkaido, Osaka, Kyoto? Never mind. Spectacular. Though it's a lighter broth, which isn't my favorite, this one tastes great. The good thing is each ramen here costs 1,000 yen, about $6.50. There are 2 of us and we share everything. Well, basically $13 each, and we tried 4 small ramen bowls, so to speak. So much ramen made me want a beer. Although things began with a dark story, you've likely noticed Hiroshima offers much more beyond its history. It has a lot of beauty to offer, right? And modern fun, everything you want. But something I'd really like to highlight about all this piece. What Hiroshima spreads a lot is that it's really focused on promoting peace. And not on resentment, hatred, or victimization. It simply focuses a lot on what peace is. And honestly, I think that's super important about all of this. You see, elementary school kids are everywhere. Even today, it's Sunday, and there are elementary school kids coming here on field trips. Everything is really nice here. It feels like everyone wants to teach peace. See you next time. Greetings to you, your family, your pet, and your annoying neighbor. Bye.